Okay, well, I'm very happy to be talking to Mr. Barry Morgan today. Barry is a huge Australian celebrity and a world-famous organist. His album, The Touch of You, is a #1 seller. He's a regular on Australian television, and he's helped many musical superstars find their feet, including Gotye. But I'll talk about that more later. It's not all glitter and Campari for Barry. He likes to keep his feet on the ground as the proprietor of Barry Morgan's World of Organs in Adelaide in Australia, and that's where he's talking to me from today. So, hello, Barry.
Hello, Mr. Dalton.
It's lovely to be talking to you, Barry.
Well, well, lovely to be talking to you across the sea.
Yeah. Isn't technology brilliant?
My goodness, I'm as modern as tomorrow. I'm right up there with this little laptop.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Barry, but this is a world exclusive that you're actually talking to me from the World of Organs. Is that right?
That's right. Up until now, I've kept the doors closed in regards to doing too many international styled interviews from the World of Organs, but we've got a very busy day ahead of us here at the World of Organs. We've got getting ready for an organ party tonight. So I decided that, yes, I would talk to you from the office. Here I am in the office of the World of Organs Superstore.
Brilliant. Now, you're well-known, Barry, for your style. So can you just talk me through what you're wearing, like for the viewers?
Well,
I know that sounds a bit funny to say viewers, but...
No, that's okay. I am a visual spectacular, they say. Look, it really is about making an effort. And you make an effort with what you're wearing, which could be right down from the walking sock. I mean, even though you might have a trouser over your leg, I still think there's some internal feeling of positivity when you walk into the room and you've step into the room proud because you've got a walking sock right up just behind the knee. But look, I'm a proprietor, I'm a purveyor, would you say, a stylist for the safari suit.
Right.
I'm not too sure how popular the safari suits were in Ireland. I'm not too sure if many of the farmers have got any.
Yeah,
they
no,
could
not
dust
at
off.
all. I think I can say unequivocally now the safari suit didn't really make it here.
Oh my goodness! Well, what about the cravat?
A little bit, not too much. Now, I think people wearing cravats would be considered having a bit of operosity.
My goodness! Well, I feel like I've got a lot of work to do when I get to Ireland to turn that around. I might have to bring a whole crate. I mean, I always travel with a crate of organs. But
Right.
I might have to bring to some safari suits. Look, so yes, I've got the special shiny organ shoes. You've got to be very careful of your choice of organ shoes, and just for the peddling.
Okay.
I've got the sock, the walking sock.
Now, what's the
lovely
walking sock? I haven't heard of that before.
Well, it's where you have the nice long sock that's pulled all the way up to just under the knee.
All right.
And then you fold it down and you make a nice little fold. It's very, very particular. And you get the fold all nice and straight. And depending on the elasticity or, the style of stay-up sock that you've got, I always wear quite modern stay-up socks, then it stays up. And then you wear your lovely... It's more for a summer's day if I wear... my shorts with my safari suit.
Yeah, we don't have many summer stays here really.
No, but I must say, I'm sure if I uncovered it, I'm sure within the Irish community there'd be a few gentlemen that would partake in the walking sock.
Well,
It's basically it's a pulled up sock. Don't you ever pull your socks up, John? My goodness. What have we got ourselves into here? I'm going to go down and book myself a ticket on the next ship to Ireland.
Tell me about your hair. I'm very envious of your hair. Well, I'll go into that more, but...
John, the hair, it's all natural.
Right.
No extensions, just a light home perm, a cream rinse, and I'm off.
And you've got a special name for your particular style, if I'm right. Or am I confusing that now? Is your style the man wave?
The man wave, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
It is. It's all about the curl. And it's you got to get a little bit of curl in there. I mean, you've got to take care of your follicles. I've started to grey up a little bit, I must say. I'm a bit concerned about a few of those greys. But anyway, that's just more distinguished gentlemen. See, it's all about making an effort, really. Like I said, about, being the gentleman at the party. Right. And, you feel good when you make an effort. Like if you get invited, I'm always being invited to organ parties. And I always find that if I do prepare myself with, a shiny shoe and a sanforized outfit and make a little effort with the hair. Outfit? A sanforized outfit?
Yeah, what's that?
Well, that's one that you don't have to iron.
Oh, okay.
It's just wash and wear. I can hear the wives in Ireland going, Barry, that's a good tip.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to bring a lot more than just the organs. You've got to bring the socks and the samporized, is that what you said?
No, sanforized.
Sanforized, okay. Yeah, I think we definitely worth bringing those as well.
I think it's alluding to steam.
Oh.
A bit of steam on the material can get the creases out. My goodness, I get a little bit of steam on you, and we could knock a few creases out too.
I want to talk to you about your love of the organ, Barry. But before I do, I just want to get something out of the way. I've heard other people interviewing you, and there's always lots of double meaning, snickering questions about your organ. How do you polish your organ? If you don't polish it, what do you do with your dirty organ? Where do you put your organ at night? You've got a very big organ. Do the ladies find it intimidating? And all that kind of thing. And
Mike, I know they're trying to twist my words.
Yeah, well, I just think that's all. It's just a bit smutty, and it just lowers the tone. So I just wanted to let you know that there won't be any of that going on in this podcast.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that, Mr. Dalton. It's about time someone rose to, the level of what I am trying to actually share across the globe with my organ.
Great. Barry, when you're playing, you're so animated that I could watch you play with the volume turned down, and I'd still get a sense of the music because of the way it moves you. So, what is it about music that speaks to you?
Well, I do believe it. For me personally, this is very subjective. We could argue this in a hall full of people at some sort of debate, but I do think that music is, the highest form. It's it's just, it's so close to divinity, really. It's just, it moves me. There's something very spiritual about making music.
Right.
That's it, really. I mean, that's probably about the most serious you'll ever get me, Mr. Dalton. You've got me. You've really got me by the short and curlies now, Mr. Dalton. But I must say, there's nothing like it. Like, I mean, you're a painter, and you work in the art form and the arts. And I'm hoping at least one of your four listeners is in the arts too. But I feel that for the arts, not that it's a negative against the other art forms, whether it be, writing poetry or sculpting or making films or whatever. I just think that making music is just right up there, if not right at the... Well, for me, it's right at the top. Right. And what I love about the organ and what my life's mission is to share that inner joy that I receive from making music, and it happens to be my journey happens to be on the organ, and that always carries lots of jokes. But what I like about it also is that the organs that I'm particularly interested in, which are the home organs, and they have a lot of lovely automated buttons on them,
right?
And they're very old in the technology that they are in the electromechanical instruments that you know they're very easy for the novice to play straight away and feel that sense of achievement, feel that joy. So I always talk about the organ. I was doing an interview yesterday to a lovely place in South Australia called Mount Gambier, and I explained to the younger lady who was interviewing me that it's a bit like the electronic pianola.
Right.
You know, and she knew what a pianola was, and you can sit Uncle Bob or Auntie, you know, Patty down at the pianola with a glass of sherry or vermouth, as seems to be my new little tipple, and they can pedal away. And I think there's a sense of joy that comes from, you know, Uncle Bob's been on the plough all day or driving a truck or whatever he's doing, you know, in Parliament, and he doesn't have time for the arts, or has never actually had time to be, you know, to work on a craft, on the arts, that he can get some sense of, you know, this is happening for me, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's painting by dots or something, you know. But the organ particularly is a really good one, because the home organ has got all those automated buttons, and you can just, you know, press away with one finger, boom, boom, and away you go, John.
Brilliant.
And the biggest joy I get is particularly when I'm doing my, you know, organ party demonstrations and my shows, as they've been dragging me out of the world of organs these days, is when I bring people up on stage and they get to actually try it. And it's all in the fun of an entertaining environment. But they really do, when I look into the face of people when they hit that first key and everything kicks in, like the Elton John big band, and there's a little sense of, my goodness, I did that. It's like, yes, you did. Keep going.
Your playing is phenomenal, Barry. I know you use a lot more than just one finger. Did you have lessons when you were younger, or are you self-taught, or did it just come to you?
Oh no, it came to me through my dear departed mother, Nancy Morgan. She was a church-going lady. I never knew my father. He died when I was just a wee nipper.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yes, well, she kept a couple of photos of him, but maybe one day I can show you a photo of father. And it was introduced to me through the church, the local church. I heard the organ and I was taken. It was as a child. That was that moment, you know. It was the sound of it, you know, and that was a big pipe organ. So that, you know, it's just something absolutely wonderful about it. And I think that's from any of the arts. I love to see it when young people are taken by something, being taken by something, you know, not just having it shoved down your throat now. You've got me so serious, Mr. Dalton. I like it. No, it means a lot to me to see that that people might be able to be opened up to the idea of creative pursuits. You know, yeah. I've even heard on the grapevine at the moment, I'm doing a mini version of a TED talk at the Sydney Road, Brunswick Community School in a couple of weeks, and the children at that high school are being discouraged from pursuing the arts because there's no money in it.
All right, yeah.
And my goodness, well, you know, we all know that. But if you're drawn to it, if it's your mission, if there's something about it, then you've got to follow it.
That's right. You just got to do it, don't you?
So yes, I learned the organ in the church. Mr. Murchison, he was a fine organist, and he taught me the initial you know, ways around the keyboards and the double pedals, and then there was a local music shop that had all the groovy organs with the bossa nova. I mean, that is one of my favourite rhythms, Mr. Dalton. It's like the vermouth of the rhythm section.
The technology in music moves very fast, though, doesn't it? I mean, there's sampling, and there's beatboxing, and there's auto-tuning. How do you keep up?
Oh, I'm right up there on the cusp. I'm Well, I believe to be I'm as modern as tomorrow. I've been working with some young DJs at the moment, and there's organ samples over everything.
Really?
Literally, if you turn on popular radio, there's organ samples. That's where they record, and So we've been doing that. We've been in the studio and we've been sampling the organ, and quite a few of them. And I've been jamming out with, young groovers on their laptops. So we've been mixing the laptop with the organ. And talking about auto-tune, I love it. I have discovered in recent times, Mr. Dalton, the voice box. Yes?
Yeah.
Where I can sing through an organ.
Wow.
Now, that was a Vipassana moment for me, let me tell you. Don't mind sitting around 10 days with a aching back when I found out that they could put my voice through an organ and it didn't, it was no electronic charges on my lips. I was away. So I've been listening to this groovy sound by Daft Punk. Can you believe it? And it's a mixture between Daft Punk and Stephen Hawking's. I love it. I really do. It's all about, it's embracing all of it, it's funny because I always think about the organ as being an acoustic instrument. How weird is that?
What do you mean by that now?
Well, it just has a sense of tonality about it. The inside the box of speakers, the woodwork, the reverb spring, the old, wiring and the creation of it, and there's mechanical parts in there moving.
Is there valves in there?
Well, there's valves in some of them. The ones I've been using on the road because it's so much trouble getting the organs onto the roof racks of my Toyota Crown Royal Saloon.
Right.
That I choose not to take the valve ones on the road.
Ah, yeah.
So I use transistors.
Right.
There's nothing. I'm very supportive of the trannies.
Right. Well, good.
Yes, good.
So what you're talking about the young people there earlier on. What advice would you give to a young performer starting out?
Well, in all seriousness, you have to really love it. How much do you love it? It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to fail than to succeed, because you have to love it because of the amount of time that it takes to get there, to practice. And I think that's a big part of it. And I think also maybe in the modern world, then obviously, embracing technology, which I have been doing for a long time. In the 70s, when these organs were around, they were on the cutting edge of technology. But I think it's also great and I talk mainly from the point of view of a musician and a performer, that it's nice to have a few strings to the bow, so to speak.
Yeah. But you've got the world of organs to kind of fall back on.
Well, I'm looking at the franchise at the moment. Right. I'm looking into franchising. There's people wanting to open up stores in Qatar.
Really?
There seems to be a fair bit of support for that at the moment. I think there's a bit of money over there.
Right. Just Qatar or all the Arab Emirates?
It just seems to be Qatar at the moment, but I'm waiting. The fax machine ran out of ink yesterday. I think there was some more requests coming through.
Right.
But, would you be, when possibly, how do you think a World of Organs store would go in your local town?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. They're very interested. Like where I live in Kerry, they're very interested in the traditional Irish music. Now I don't really know how the World of Organs would go. When I was a boy, I remember, and I grew up in Dublin, And I can remember one of our neighbours got an organ. I don't know if it was a Hammond now, but it was similar to the kind of ones you do. And it was like an event in the community. Everyone was called into this person's house, and they couldn't play it, but sure, that didn't matter. They just would turn it on and hit a few buttons, and loads of music would come out, and they looked like Liberace, you know. It was a big event. Remember it well. So maybe Dublin.
That's it.
Maybe Dublin.
That's what happens. See, it's an event when you get an organ in the home and you turn it on and everyone gathers around.
Yeah.
You know, sophisticated teak veneer home entertainment system.
Oh yeah, it was like the cockpit of a spaceship. When you're a kid looking at it, I can remember that well. Now, correct me if I've got this wrong, but as I understand it, Gotye had this big concert organised in Sydney, and then he forgot how to play, and then he called you at the last minute, and you came on stage to help him out. Is that how it went?
Oh my goodness, Mr. Dalton, I love these Chinese whisper stories as they go around the hall. I mean, I do have a lovely connection to some of the stars because they call me for advice on organs.
Yeah.
And they've been calling up in the shop, and I sold a lovely big Yamaha organ to Mr. Gotye a long time before that. So we've had a good banter between the two of us, and we're both very much into organs and retro keyboards. He has an amazing collection of keyboards, that man. And, you know, we connected over his love of the Lowry. I use a lovely Lowry Teeny Genie.
That's an organ, is it?
That's an organ, the Teeny Genie. And so subsequently when he hit the big time, he said, "Come on, Barry, come on the road with me." So I went around Australia and did a national tour with him, which was very exciting for me because I have never performed in front of 10,000 people a night. And I would come on stage each evening, and we'd have the roadies. I loved it about rock and roll. There was all these people dressed in black with black beanies, and they'd clamber around and do everything for you. It was really quite fascinating.
They sound like ninjas.
They were.
Musical ninjas.
It's musical ninjas. They're just doing everything. And they'd roll out these two organs, and we did a bit of an organ duet over his lovely song, State of the Art, which is all about exactly what you just spoke about when they put that organ in Dublin. And there was this, nobody knew how to play it, but you all had to go and visit, and you turned it on, and there's this music just belted out of it. And then, the idea, if you see that great clip, State of the Art,
yeah, I've seen it.
In the animation, the organ then takes over the house. Yeah, and he did a lot of samples, which is where we played that together, and I was able to get. I think in Melbourne at the Maya Music Bowl, we had 10,000 people screaming organ.
Wow.
Which was a lot of fun. Every time I say Morgan, you say organ. Morgan, organ.
Oh, very good.
It was a lot of fun, and but he's not the only one I've sold organs to. I sold one to Gurumul Yunupingu, who's a big Australian artist and also quite big in Europe.
Right.
He's an Indigenous fellow from Elcho Island in the Northern Territory, way up there,
right,
where it's way too hot for electronic organs.
Oh, okay.
And I sold him one at WOMAD once, which was the big world music festival in Adelaide.
Right.
And look, occasionally I take a call from Lady Gaga. Sia's on the answering machine at the moment, trying to get some advice. But, that's I'll get to them after I've finished talking to you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. So who are your musical heroes, Barry?
Oh, Mr. Murchison.
Oh,
of course.
Right, that's the
church organist.
The teacher. Okay, yeah. Took me a minute there.
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, that's the organ teacher. I mean, Liberace. I mean, what I like about Liberace is he never sold out.
Right. And did you see the film about him with Matt Damon and Michael Douglas?
No, I haven't seen that
don't.
yet.
It'll ruin it a bit for you, I think. I accidentally watched it with my mother. It was a really bad idea.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't be. Well, see, that was probably one of the reasons why I didn't get to watch it, and I decided not to, because it would have been something that I would have thought that I would have gone and seen it with Nancy, because we used to do a lot of things together, Nancy and I. But since she's passed away, well, there's that little space in my heart now.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Gee, you've got me. You've got me on the serious side of the organ world today, Mr. Dalton. Oh, will I ever find someone who will marry Barry?
Well, I'm maybe one of the people who listen to this podcast, will, some nice Irish girl, maybe.
That sounds like a nice idea. Yeah. Other inspirations. I mean, I really just love performers. Right. I love musicians. We've got, and you see posters. We've got Elton John coming over this summer.
Okay.
How exciting! What a great keyboard player and singer.
Yeah.
He's mentoring that young Ed Sheeran. He just plays a chord and 100,000 kids scream. I mean,
he seems like a genuinely nice fellow, though, doesn't he?
Who's this?
Ed Sheeran.
Well, I haven't met him, but I imagine so. I imagine so. But I imagine with any of those big artists that when you get to that level...
Well, you'd know, you see, because you're there already.
Well, that's right. I'm there already. In Australia, I am. My goodness, I can't go to the steam room without getting humbugged.
Now, the main organ you play is a Hammond Aurora Classic, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And it's got a lot of pedals on the ground that you play with your feet, yeah? Because I've seen you playing and your feet are flying around all over the place. It's brilliant.
Fantastic, yes. Well, that's the big bottom end, Mr. Dalton.
Oh, okay.
You've got to have the big bottom end, and it all comes from the bass. All about the bass, the bass. Oh, my goodness. She's been calling too, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all calling. The phones are hot, actually.
So with the foot pedal thing, does that ever cause a problem when you're driving? Like, do you ever get confused and start, using the pedals in the car like an organ?
No.
Do you drive yourself?
I do drive myself.
Oh, you do drive yourself.
But the Toyota. Do you know the Toyota Crown Royal Saloon? Did you have those in Ireland?
Maybe. I'm not completely sure.
Have a look.
Are they a big kind of square car?
Yeah, and what about the Leyland P76?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, have a little Google on those. I think they're probably the two most ugliest cars on the planet. But I've got a Toyota Crown Royal Saloon in beige.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, the pedals. No, I don't have trouble driving. I seem to drive myself. I like that. I can put a cassette on. I've got some organ music cassettes.
Right.
In the dashboard, and no, I don't have any trouble. And I do love using the pedals. Using the pedals and the 2 feet and the 2 hands. It's a little bit like what's a little bit like being a drummer.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's the ambidextrous. You've got to be able to sort of. It's very good for the mind.
Oh, I'd say.
And what's good for the mind is good for the spirit. See, but because you have to sort of have independence of your 2 hands and your 2 feet. And when you first try that, it's like learning to ride a bicycle. When you first try it, or drive a car with a clutch and a brake, like a manual, you think, I'm never going to get this.
Yep.
And then when one day the penny drops, if you just keep trying, it's a bit of a life lesson. If you just keep trying, one day the penny will drop.
Right. Bit of a controversial question now.
Here we go. Drum roll.
Yeah, it's about an instrument I've heard you describe as the devil's backpack. So where do you stand on the piano accordion, Barry?
Oh, well, stand on one. Well, okay, I haven't had, no one's ever suggested that. It might help when I've got to reach to the top of the shelf to get down the paper wipes for the kitchen.
So you're not a fan. I'm asking you because I play the piano accordion myself. So I just wanted to hear what's the problem with the piano accordion.
No, look, actually, there's no. I'm such a lover of music and the music making process. I even like the banjo.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I've taken up the ukulele this last year, and it's the most fun I've had in a long time playing an instrument.
Well, I was going to make a slide remark about the ukulele, but
I played the 2 instruments that you dislike the most.
Well, the thing is, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place with the ukulele because it brings such, because you just answered the question there, it brings such joy.
Yeah.
Because you said I've never, we could go back in the podcast here and transcribe what you said, which was that, you haven't had so much fun, or you've had a lot of fun playing the ukulele.
Yeah, it's great fun.
So for that reason, it has to get a big tick.
True.
Apart from that, I think it's probably a good thing to try and extinguish a few feral cats in the desert of Australia. We do have a feral cat problem over here. But anything that brings you joy, within the musical world. I mean, I actually have been known that it's funny with the Devil's Backpack, because just secretly, just between you and the other 4 listeners, I do play the Devil's Backpack on occasion.
Really, the piano accordion now, or the like the proper piano accordion?
The piano accordion,
wow,
yes,
okay.
the Devil's Backpack.
And okay,
yes, because I have done bush christenings.
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been, when you've got to go out into the bush and play acoustically. Well, I'm a little bit dumbfounded with the electronic organ. I have taken the pump organ into the bush before.
That's the one with the pedals, isn't it?
That's the one with the pedals, and I must say the pump organ has been fantastic. But on other occasions, I've done the little one where they wanted to walk through the bush, travel further into the bush. Right. And I have played the piano accordion, and I do actually like it.
Okay.
And that's okay, because, we like a little bit of devil. My goodness, how would have Nick Cave's career gone if we didn't like a little devil?
True.
We like a little of the dark side.
It's true.
There must be a few Darth Vader outfits around out and about the place. We like a bit of the dark side.
As well as being a huge celebrity, Barry, you're also a very successful businessman, and your sales techniques are legendary. Can you share some of your top selling tips with me?
Well, my goodness, the telephone's a big one.
Well, answering it.
You've got to do... I do. Well, I haven't been able to answer it this morning. The lights have been going off. I think that might be... Who was that? It might be Kate Miller-Hyde keep calling me. Well, it's being a part of the community. So you've got to be out there. And, the organ parties is a big one. Like the organ party tonight, there's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm going up to their home this evening, and I'll be taking an organ. And they've got 30 of their dear friends coming along, and I'll be demonstrating the farfisa tonight. I'm taking a lovely farfisa Louvre P with golden legs.
Oh, okay.
That was as modern as tomorrow in 1979. And when I get up to the Smiths' house this evening, they will be giving me the names and numbers of the other 30 attendees at the party.
I see.
So then over the coming month, I will hound those 4 people with telephone calls every day until I can see if I can book myself another organ party. So I try and do, one every couple of weeks.
So it's the parties that's the main strategy, is it?
Well, that's it at the moment because, I just enjoyed the festivities of a party. It's like did you have Tupperware in Ireland?
We did, yeah.
So it's a bit like a Tupperware party, but a whole lot less plastic and a lot more organ, John.
I see.
And I will turn up, and the Smiths, I've given them advice on how to cater for the party tonight, with particularly my favourite fruit, which is freshly tinned Australian pineapple rings. There'll be bottles of vermouth. There'll be a few, like nibblies.
You've gone off the Campari, have you?
Well, I've been having a little go at vermouth lately. I've gone for the V.
Wow,
I quite like it, actually.
Okay.
But I'm always particular to the Campari. But it seems to me that the people that there's a company that is sending me crates of free vermouth to the world of organs, so I couldn't seem to get any out of Campari.
Oh well, you can't. That's you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, can you?
You can't let, and why change horses in the middle of a stream, and why choose any other entertainment system than a home organ? My goodness. I'm going to get that on my T-shirt for summer.
A personal question now. Can you give me any male grooming tips? I've been trying to get the man wave going, but it's just not working out. What's the secret, Barry?
Well, you have to forget everything that you've learnt about the ozone layer.
Right.
Yes, because you'll need to get yourself a big can of hairspray.
I see. I've been too politically correct. That's what's wrong with me.
Yes, well, it's a bit of a one that we could debate for quite a while there about the effects of hairspray and the ozone layer. But I used to always think I had a spotlight following me everywhere, John. But apparently now I've just been told it's just a hole in the ozone layer that's following me around. But look, there's always someone trying to crash my party. But look, the biggest secret, I'm giving you away a lot of secrets here. It's the hot rollers, John.
Hot rollers?
Hot rollers. You've got to go round to your auntie's place and have a look, in the third drawer, well down under the smalls, you might find yourself in a dusty pack a set of hot rollers. And I'm encouraging the young gentlemen of today to try the hot rollers. I'm going to actually bring out a YouTube video on my hot roller technique.
Oh, that'd be great.
Very soon. It's on its way. We're going to have a little bit of
It's needed. It's definitely needed.
So much fun.
Now, as you know, I often talk about spirituality on this podcast, and I've heard you describe yourself as a one-finger Methodist. Can you tell me more about that religion?
Well, it stems from, everything has to come from somewhere, John, and there has to be the core or the base of where you come up with these life theories, life matters as such. And look, many years ago I met an oboe player who was a Reiki channel. And through my, treatment and her professional practice, she made me aware of the idea of having hot hands, having energy in your hands. And I have so much energy in my hands. I've got such hot hands that we had to reduce it down to one finger because otherwise it was just too burning hot. And it works in with how to play the home organ. So that's where you can put down the one finger for beginners setting on the organ.
I see.
And you choose any finger. It's entirely up to you, Mr. Dalton. And once you've chosen, then you basically touch, release, smile. And again, we're back in that. I feel like I'm in that house in Dublin all those years ago. And there's all those people gathered round that organ and no one knows how to play it. But once it's turned on and someone touches that bottom keyboard and it all begins, then that is the basis of the one-finger method.
I see.
But, there's a lot we can show in with one finger. If you put up your index finger, that's can be a disciplinary message. You put up your little pinky and that can be you're feeling a little bit silly message.
Right. This might be a ridiculous question, but do you ever get blue, Barry? Do you ever get a bit down? And if you do, what do you do to get yourself out of it?
It's very interesting that you say that because just prior to this, when I had a look at a couple of your pictures and you drew the wings on the farmer.
Yeah.
They reminded me of butterfly wings.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yes, and when I get down, I like to go to the butterfly enclosure.
Oh.
And look at butterflies. Because we all have to remember that on occasion butterflies can be blue.
Ah, right. That's pretty deep.
My goodness, you've got me on the deep side of it this morning, Mr. Dalton.
So your smile is legendary, Barry. I've heard some people say it's an Australian national treasure, and your joy and your enthusiasm is lovely. But not everyone feels like that. I think everyone has that kind of happiness, that kind of Barry smile inside them, but it just has trouble getting out. So how do we release our inner Barry?
Well, the smile. I mean, I practice.
Really?
Well, I do, because there's muscles there that we have to exercise. Exercise is good for the mind, body, and spirit. Practice smiling and frowning. It takes 13 muscles to smile, 43 to frown, and no muscles to not give a damn. So we've got to give a damn. We've got to care. So what we do, now let's do it together now. We can smile, so get those cheeks right up there and give a big smile, Mr. Dalton, and then a frown. Okay, and then go up again and smile.
Yeah.
And then down for a frown. And then another smile. All and then down for a frown. Now, if that doesn't make you feel better, I don't know what will.
Well, that's great advice.
I think seriously, physically, if you can get, if you can... I get in the mirror and have a little practice of a little smile and a frown each morning. My dear departed mother Nancy, before she passed away, she said that was one of her dying wishes, that I would continue to smile after she'd gone, and I worked very hard at that. And I think that if that's the simplest place that we can, from those 13 muscles. And then the 43 to frown, back and forth. Then, that can be the beginning of our, positive therapy, I think also that if you... I have so much fun at my shows, because I know people come along and they may be feeling a little blue. They might be the butterflies of the room. But then by the end of the demonstration, there's a little bit of joy, just even if it's just 1%. Of a little bit of positive feeling, then my job is done.
Well, I think you're being modest there. I think there's a lot more than 1%. Even just watching you on the screen without actually being in your presence, it certainly conveys a lot of joy to me.
Well, one of the things that's happening, one of the side effects of the work that I've been doing now, because I've been thrown to being a celebrity, is that I get messages from people, and I have a collection now of some very heartfelt messages over Facebook messages or emails of people telling me of some of the difficulties they are having with their mind, as it may be, or their spirit, and that thanking us at the World of Organs for bringing some joy into their lives, and that is a... That is a side effect that when I started this all out, I was really just trying to sell the organs, make a quick buck. But as it's turned out, I'm becoming nearly a guru.
Okay, I've got a cultural question for you now. Performance art has been in the news a bit lately, particularly with performance artist Marina Abramovich. I don't know if you know her, but she's been having a bit of a blue with Jay-Z. A blue, for the Irish listeners, is a bit of a fight, and then she has a film. The artist is present, and she's pals with Lady Gaga, like you are. And so I just wondered what you thought of performance art, and is it really art?
Well, I think if someone has written, if someone has actually written, designed, thought about, and felt, and puts their creativity down in a form that is either for private use or for public to see, then I think it's art. It's a very big question. There's lots of different ways to express yourself. I think that one of the things that we're going on in our country at the moment is we're losing a particular amount of art funding.
Right.
So that brings into question, there's always that, particularly from our right-wing government currently, they're making cuts to the arts left, right and centre. And there's that argument, is that good or is that not good for the arts? I think that, for me, art always seems to come out of struggle street, great works.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a challenging one, that one, because, you know, if we have we have instances of where an artistic performance is being funded considerably at the taxpayer's expense, but then whenever these artistic performances travel to the regions, then nobody's really going to see them.
Right.
So it's propping up work that is not actually, you know, communicating to the community. Mm-hmm. I think it's a challenge and very interesting. It's another hour's discussion there that I'd love to get into because, I mean, my performances, that's why I have that relationship with Liberace, bless his soul, because, you know, the critiques and the artists of the day were probably not so supportive of Mr. Liberace, but my goodness, when he put up a poster in the local town, didn't they flock and buy tickets?
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about that little fracas between Jay-Z and the lady you were talking about, but I must have a little bit of a look at that.
Okay. So my last question is the question I ask everybody. If there's one thing you could pass on to future generations, what would it be?
The joy of music. The joy of making your own music. And whether that be as, you know, playing the organ, playing the oboe, or, you know, playing some music created on your computer, you know, playing with samples and electronic. But, yeah, making music.
Beautiful. So how can people find out more about you, Barry? Where are you located on the internet?
Well, they can come and knock on the door at the Sunnyside Mall. And I'm happy for a chat. Or they could, you know, in the near future, maybe I'll be in Qatar. But you can find me on the web. I'm on the mrbarrymorgan.com on the Facebook. I seem to be more active on the Facebook than on the websites. There's the World of Organ website.
Yes.
And there's also the mrbarrymorgan.com. That's my entertainer's site. But, you know, the Facebook is probably... And soon to come, YouTube. We're going to have a go at some old-fashioned variety fun on the YouTube channel.
Right, and you've got quite a bit of merchandise on your website.
My goodness, I've got you. Don't be a mug. Grab yourself one from the store. We've got T-shirts, we've got tea towels, we've got stubby coolers and beer coasters. Have a beer on Barry. There's a lot of fun there. The T-shirts are just wonderful. They're all organic, of course. Soon to be more organic, patent pending. Lovely. There's CDs. There's all sorts of joyous things to give there. I love the tea towels are nearly big enough to be a bathrobe.
Right. And your album, The Touch of You, is it just available in vinyl and cassette, or can people get it on iTunes as well?
You can. Oh, I'm as modern as tomorrow. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it in CD. That's my traditional record. And look out for the future because I'm going to do a disco organ party record.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
We're going to reinvent the disco through the organ wheel.
Good. Okay. Well, I won't keep you any longer. You're very kind to give us so much time, to give me so much time. It's been great talking to you, and we'll be looking out for the male grooming videos that you promised to make about the hot rollers. I'll be particularly interested in that, and all the future music that you're going to be producing. So thanks very much for chatting with me today, Barry.
No worries, Mr. Dalton. That was a lot of fun.
Great. Okay, well, bye-bye then, Barry.
Bye.
I've never felt this good in my entire life. Make me some spaghetti. Yeah, we are the Argyle Pimps. So buy us a drink. We're better than you thought, but not as good as we think. We are the Argyle